Welcome to the Top M&A Entrepreneurs. My guest today is Matt Fisher. I met Matt on a mastermind call, Patch Baker's mastermind call. So welcome, Matt. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so on that Patch Baker call, I heard that you have done 8 acquisitions and you're on your 10th location. So can you tell me exactly what that is and tell me a lot more about that?
Yeah, so it's the 8th acquisition we've done in the fitness space, kind of the gym, health club space. I've done other acquisitions in other industries before. I've been kind of a serial entrepreneur since I was a kid. And then, as I got older, got more sophisticated and actually, I think I probably got more stubborn with how I wanted to approach life. Several years ago, we got involved in the fitness business through a retail company that we had that was selling, the actual equipment to homes and to commercial places. And then as part of that, we started a small gym in a small city in the Midwest where we're located. And it kind of took off pretty fast. And I had this idea that, it's almost like a SaaS-based model to have a fitness facility if you deliver the right customer service and the money keeps coming back every month. So I had this idea that, to scale this, we probably need to have 10 of these clubs. And I started the process of going out and looking for, and taking advantage of some advice my uncle gave me a long time ago, which was, it's always easier to build the business that started versus trying to start it from scratch. So I went out looking for gyms and gym owners that wanted to sell. That I had this hypothesis that they were a lot like bars, gyms and bars for guys. They all want to own one until they get involved in it and they figure out how much work it really is.
That's true.
So they want to get out. And I found people that were, groups of folks and people that were motivated, and we just started acquiring clubs at a pretty rapid pace over the last several years.
Yeah. So let me go back to you said you've done acquisitions before the fitness space. What were those? Let me go even further back. Now, is it your dad that suggested this? Just like instead of starting a business from zero?
That was my uncle.
Oh, it was your uncle. Your uncle. Okay.
Yeah, my uncle. He was a pretty successful entrepreneur in northern Wisconsin. He had a construction company, he had a software company, and he honestly made his money in waste management, picking up trash.
Construction, software, waste management.
Yep.
Okay, so it didn't matter what industry to him. It was just the financials had to look good, and doing it.
Yeah, and he understood. I mean, he had some restaurants and stuff, but honestly, those were more passion projects for him that didn't do real well. But he made his money when he sold his waste management company, and then he had this idea for a software product that would help companies optimize their routes for picking up trash, and he ended up selling both of those for tons of money, and then got into a couple other businesses.
Yeah, so he had this big influence on you to say, hey, you can go work for a company 9 to 5, whatever that was, or you can buy, start a company and it'll fail, or you can buy a company that's already flying in midair and then just improve it from there.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, it was something that's kind of stuck in my head ever since I was a child. I mean, he probably gave me that advice when I was up there spending summers with my grandfather playing golf at 13, 14 years old. And that's what, it's kind of what he was doing as an individual. And I did the 9 to 5 job, and I've had consulting gigs, and my career was basically focused in helping healthcare organizations, the largest providers in the country, look at their business and help them increase margins and productivity and efficiencies, whether it was in the front office side or in the back office ERP side.
Yeah. So what was the first, let me go back to your uncle, because this is always good. I mean, I don't know if you've ever read this Joseph Campbell, that Hero with 1,000 Faces. There's always an arc to a story where you're in an ordinary world and you have this call to adventure, and then you have this meeting the mentor, and obviously your uncle's the mentor. I mean, did you spend a lot of time with him just asking him questions like how to do this, what to do, or did you just say, hey, just like, don't do this, do this? And then
no, I did. Honestly, he wasn't much of a sharer. He he was a wonderful human being. I mean, he was a great guy. We weren't super close, but I always kind of watched from, kind of behind the scenes and how he was approaching his different business challenges and the way he approached life, and said, someday I want to be in a spot where I could go do what I want to do when I want to do it. And the only way, if I looked at the people that I was surrounding myself with, the only way I was going to do that was to go, build a business and buy real estate, or do both, or go be independent, and try and be that, try to live that life.
Yeah. And did you have your very first acquisition? Did you have a partner with you, a couple partners, or you just do them by yourself?
No, so I had a longtime friend that was a partner when we made our first acquisition, which was a foreclosure company that went out and managed real estate for the large banks that had foreclosures, and our job was to go make sure that they were being properly taken care of. So we had a crew of people. We had about 5 or 6 different banks, and our responsibility was to go out and make sure they weren't becoming dilapidated, cleaning them out, getting them ready for resale. And then eventually we got into, actually property management. We acquired another company as part of that to do property management, along with our own real estate, of managing other people's rental properties, whether it be commercial or residential rental properties.
Yeah.
Then we like any partnership, once in a while, you get 2 different directions you want to go in. He's a longtime friend, decided that he wanted to go into the restaurant business, which I've never wanted to be involved in the restaurant business.
The failure rate is so high.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And he was part of the first gym that we opened, and then he decided he just wanted out. So he left and took his money and went and started a restaurant with somebody else. And I'm still in the entrepreneur game, and he's a full-time electrician again.
Yeah. Does he still own part of that first one, or did you buy him out? No.
No. He walked away completely.
Completely.
Yep.
How did that first acquisition, what did it look like? Was it a money-making, profitable operation?
Yeah, it was. We actually made money. We didn't, it was enough for him because he was working full time. I was still working kind of a consulting gig. It was enough for him to step away, and I could manage it, on the side as kind of a side hustle for me. It grew pretty fast. We had a number of properties, and then the property management thing came along. Yeah, it made money. It's just not, when we looked at the business and he looked at the business, because he had this very clear set of how he said to me at one point in time, he said, listen, if I could do this, it would make me so happy. And so we went out and tried to do that, and we did that. And then he got there, and we were like, holy shit, this is not what we thought it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not fun. It's a difficult game. It's hard. And it required us to really work in the business, and not above the business.
Not above it or on.
Yeah. And you really had to be in it. And by in it, I mean we were in it. So
how did you solve that? Because you can't acquire 7 other stuffs working in the business.
No, well, ultimately ended up selling it off. So we he left, and then I sold it off to somebody else.
Oh, okay. So that was a pretty good first, lesson that you bought with a partner. Partnership didn't work out.
Yep.
In the business, not what you want to do, sell it off, and you go, okay, how do I recreate this story for the next time? What does it look like?
Yeah, and at the same time as we had that business, we had a retail fitness business kind of as well that I was running and managing along with my wife. And one of the things that became very clear very quickly for us was, if I wasn't there or she wasn't there in the actual physical business of the brick and mortar store, we didn't make any money. I mean, we could hire all the employees in the world. They could be great employees and they would show up for work, but at the end of the day, their paycheck was only dependent upon them showing up. I mean, they would get commissions, but they didn't care whether or not we paid the bills. And so I needed to find a way, or I wanted to find a way, to build a business that did not depend upon me. And in fact, when we tried to sell the retail fitness business, the first question everybody asked me was, if you leave and you're out of here, does it make money? And I had to answer that honestly, no, it doesn't. If I'm not here, my wife's not here, you need to be here. It's a full-time
Yeah,
gig.
nobody wants to buy a job. I mean, to be honest, there are people that want to do that, but there's
Yeah.
another part that just said, I just don't want to buy a job.
Yeah. A job that, you can't get fired from, you can't quit from, you got to do it.
Yeah.
It was a great business. It was fun, but we were working weekends, we were working nights, we were working holidays. I can't tell you how many family, holiday events I missed because I had to work the day after Thanksgiving for, Black Friday.
Because somebody didn't show up because I got to go into a concert or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Or so never sick days. And, it just needed to be, I wanted to find something where I didn't need to be there and the business didn't really rely on me. And it became quickly apparent at the first gym that we built and owned, I didn't need to be there. I mean, the only reason I needed to be there, if somebody needed to be there, was to sign people up. And if I could solve that problem, I needed to hire somebody to clean the business, and my job was just to go out and, to grow it.
Is it like a fitness business where you just have a pass card and you open the door? And, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. We only have one location that's not 24/7. And we just logistically couldn't do it because it's 40,000 square feet and it's got multiple entrances into a pool. And we couldn't figure out a way to lock the pool down after hours to keep people in there at 2 o'clock in the morning, drinking and smoking and doing what they do in a college town.
Yeah. How did you tune into that business model? I mean, is it just a process of elimination that didn't work and just say, oh God, the only way we're going to get this SaaS type, I'm not in the business type, business model?
No, I tried to buy a bunch of Anytime Fitnesses first. And I quickly got underneath the covers of the Anytime Fitnesses and just figured out, man, they really want you for everything. I mean, there was a fee for waking up in the morning, it seemed like, and they had tons of revenue, but at the end of the day, they weren't making a lot of money, and they weren't hard things. Charge you for cameras, they charge you for access fee, they charge you for using their billing system, and I just felt like it can't be that complicated to go do this on my own and put the pieces of the technology together, because that was kind of my background, to put it together and create it. And I figured it out for the first one, and then slowly over the last, it was 2020, almost 22, so the last 7 or 8 years, we've kind of perfected how we do that now and what that model looks like. So, I don't need a lot of staff. We keep it clean. We have a lot of trainers. But
the Anytime is that's a franchise, right?
Yeah, that's a franchise. Yep.
They're not out here in Arizona, but there's Choose Fitness, CHUZE.
Yeah, so they're like Anytime, Snap Fitness. There's a couple other ones, but they're basically smaller footprint, no hardly any staff, and you can be there 24/7. You can be there anytime, right?
Yeah.
They're based out of Minneapolis. They used to have thousands of locations, but they're slowly, that curve is coming down. So that acquisition didn't work out because I didn't really like the franchise model. It just didn't feel right to me. So I went out and started our own brand, created our own kind of back office operations, and then just started acquiring facilities. And then over the last few years, and I wouldn't say we've perfected, but if we find a target, we really now have a process of bringing those people into our business model.
Yeah. So were you acquiring locations that were already gyms that had, a lot of the
So I took the advice. Yeah, I took the advice from my uncle, and I literally was out there cold calling gyms. I mean, it was odd to cold call. Hey, can I talk to your owner? And get the owner on the phone and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. I'm trying to get to 10. I'd like to buy your gym. What do you think? And it was just as simple as that. And I would say out of every 10 clubs I call, I get one person that would want to have the conversation. 1 out of 10,
10%.
Yep.
Yeah.
And sometimes you fall into things. We fell into a couple of them. This latest acquisition that's not really even an acquisition because we didn't spend any money getting it. We networked our way into the landowner who had oddly it was an Anytime Fitness that closed, and it was sitting there empty, and he needed somebody in there to rent the space. So he basically gave me the equipment if I agreed to a certain rent price, and committed to a 3-year deal. So we're walking in, open a 10th location, and got the rent, our fixed expenses to the point where we don't need a ton of members to be successful there. And it's a satellite location for one of our larger gyms on the Illinois side. So
you're expanded from Iowa to Illinois now.
Yep. Yeah, we have about half of our businesses in Illinois and half of it's in Iowa.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you have to, when you first get out there, you look at it and you say, hey, well, how do you tell me about there's KPIs and there's critical drivers, right? So how many people is it per, square foot that you need to get in there, or what?
It's simple math. I mean, it's here's our fixed expenses. I don't really count variable because we can control that. Excuse me. My fixed, that honestly, it's rent. It's rent, and if we have equipment payments divided by our purchase price or our membership price, then that's my target, right? So
equipment price, is it normally you look in there and you say, hey, this is, I got a bench here, I got a lat machine here, I got pull-up machine, I got a squat machine, I got all this stuff here,
right?
But I need this to fill out that. I got to go buy it, or do you guys rent those?
Yeah. I mean, there's sometimes we have to augment a few pieces here and there. But if I'm were to build from scratch, and I was going to spend $500,000 on equipment to outfit a large facility, I would take that lease payment plus our rent payment or our mortgage payment in some cases, and divide that by our membership costs and go, this is how many members I need to break even, and this is our goal. I need this many members to make it worthwhile, and can we achieve that based on the population that's around us?
Yeah. When you go back to negotiate the lease with the landlord, do you have a lot of power in that sometimes when you go, hey, look, there's nobody in here, I want this, or do they just say, here's the bottom price?
Yeah, it's a motivated, certainly have to have a motivated landowner for sure.
Yeah.
We have, and I'm very transparent up front with the landowner when we are negotiating the lease. This has to make money for me, not just for you as a landlord. I don't want you to lose money, but it has to make money for me. And the fitness business obviously has been challenged, although I think it's going to continue to grow going forward at a pretty decent rate, probably, more than people expect, but it has to make money for me from day one. And I'm super transparent about that. And I'm very clear about this is and I break down the numbers just like I did for you. I need this many members to break even based on this rent price. And if I can achieve that, we'll both live, be happy campers. Does that work for you? If it does, then let's continue the conversation. If it doesn't, no harm, no foul. I'll go find a different place.
So you pretty much open the books and show them, here's, what I've done in these other locations. What
Absolutely.
happens if you don't get to the, like you say, this is what I need to break even, but if I don't get there, this is what happens. Because
before the lease or after?
Well, I guess before and after, because they kind of want to know what's happening, right?
Well, I won't sign a lease if I don't think I can get to break even. I mean, yeah. I'll walk away. And we've done that. We've walked away. We've entered negotiations thinking super excited about, adding a location, and the landlord, is at $30 a square foot and I need to be at 10. And it doesn't work. And then, it's just business.
Yeah.
But we get there pretty fast because I don't want to lease. I don't want to drag out and order a bunch of equipment and then have a lease and not be happy about it. So I always solve the lease issue first and then worry about, equipment and stuff like that after.
Right. So when you do, I got to believe at this point in any, renting some, property out there has got to be in your favor at the moment, the leverage.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's also the bigger the space and the more it's built out to be a gym, the better it is for me. Because it's difficult, like we're in a situation in our largest club in Iowa where the owner is a capital investment group and they want to sell the space to us and they want this ridiculous price. And this process has started a year ago, and it would be hugely advantageous for us to purchase the building It lowers our overall commitment. We get obviously some equity in the property. We'd have to take out some partners, but they're in love with the space because I'm a great renter. So they talk about this cap rate and how great of an investment it is for me because I'll get all the write-offs and depreciation. And I just candidly said, it's a single use building at this point.
Yeah.
If I leave,
but your lease is static, right?
Yeah. Well, it goes up every year.
Variable, like if you go to a mall, they'll charge you a percentage of revenue.
No, we don't have any of
that.
Yeah. We get some escalators in there annually, to cover costs. I get that, but I with single use building, buddy. If I were to leave and default on my lease, this building's going to sit empty for a very long time because who wants to come in and plow over a pool and take all the fitness equipment? It's going to cost somebody a couple $1 million to retrofit this place.
Yeah.
And I'm the perfect buyer. So we're just, they've gone from an extraordinarily high number to something where they're being a little bit more reasonable. And I'm just waiting for them to get to the right number so I can, we can acquire it.
So you have a lap pool? You put a lap pool on your?
Well, when we acquired it, it had a full size pool in it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. 25-meter pool. Yeah.
Yeah. When you get it and you get the space, you get all the equipment in, I mean, how much marketing do you have to do to drive people there?
It depends. So if the business is really in bad shape, then we look at it in phases. And before I spend a ton of money on marketing on a location, I really go in and we try to operationalize and make it very efficient. Get the staffing right, get all the equipment working right, clean it up. Just show it probably the tenderness and caring it's probably not been shown for quite some time, and do some superficial things to make it look like we're not make it, but we're investing into the clubs. And sometimes that word of mouth will blow it up, right? They'll say, holy crap, somebody's coming in here and investing into this club and it's going back to where it was before it fell. And so we'll get a rush from that. Usually see just from doing that about a 10% bump in revenue right there.
That is just from traffic, just driving by and saying, hey man, I used to go here.
Yep.
I have nowhere to go now. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when we get to the point where we want to market something, it's, we probably don't market as well as we should, because I have a hard time connecting. And marketing guys would kill me if I said this. It's like voodoo for me. If I do print mailing and I spend $10,000 on print mailing, like, holy shit, I didn't get $10,000 of memberships out of that, or did I? Because I can't have any, and they don't bring in the flyers, but you don't know whether or not they saw the flyer, and that's why they're there, and we ask.
Yeah.
So it's kind of traditional marketing I just haven't been able to wrap my arms around that. When we start looking at Facebook and Instagram and now TikTok and all those things, we can measure that and we can see the success of that, but it's not our marketing isn't just about, hey, we're Top Shape Gym, come see us. It's trying to put relevant content out in the marketplace that positions us as experts in what we do, and you should come see us because of that.
Yeah. I got a buddy that owns Tucson Strength here. He doesn't spend money on marketing. He just tells his story on Facebook.
Yeah.
And he charges it's $50 and up a month versus the $9 at Choose Fitness, where
that's circling the drain right there, $9 a month.
Oh my God. That's I can't imagine how many people you have to bring in and what the turnover is to get to break even on that.
And it's 10 times the amount of work, because if you have 3,000 members, paying you $9 a month versus 1,000 members paying you $40 a month, it's 1/3 of the traffic and harshness on your equipment. It's 1/3 of the work. And honestly, what we found is the people that pay $9 or $10 a month, because there's a couple clubs that we took over that had $10 memberships, they bitched the most. They complained the loudest.
Yeah.
And,
I got a membership January 1st goes like this and attendance goes like that right after.
yeah, all I would do is complain.
Yeah.
So I got rid of the $10 membership, and we saw a spike in revenue once that crowd left. I mean, let as it Planet Fitness, Planet Fatness. Let them have them. They can have them. And I don't see them as a competitor. I see them as training wheels for when they want to get serious about their fitness. They'll come see us.
So how many locations do you have currently running and open now?
9. We have 9. We'll have 10 starting November 1st.
Yeah. And how do you roll up all the financials? Is it, do you have a CPA running that and they show you daily, or does he just send you reports, or do you have access to QuickBooks or White Plains or whatever it is?
Yeah, it's QuickBooks. So fortunately my wife is a accountant by trade, and she's our CFO. So she runs the book. So we grew pretty quickly, and 2 years ago I started down the path of trying to get P&Ls to our managers so that they could see how I wanted to approach the business from a P&L perspective on a quarterly basis, and by giving them targets and compensation associated with that. But then COVID hit, and I really couldn't. It wasn't fair to our managers to say, hey, I want you to increase profit and reduce expenses when I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So I look at, and we had traditionally been looking bi-weekly at a very simple metric. And it was almost scary simple to see if we were being successful. Every 2 weeks, I would have the managers on. We all get on the phone call. We talk about 3 things: number of new memberships versus the number of cancellations, and what equipment wasn't working. And as long as the number of cancellations didn't exceed the number of new memberships, I knew we were headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I think it's only happened once in one club.
Yeah, that's almost like a SaaS, reoccurring billing, right? Yeah. And they have to give you notice and they'll cancel or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, they have to give us 30 days notice. So if they bill on the 1st and they tell they're going to cancel on the 2nd, they get billed the next month. Then they cancel.
So you have 9 locations now, and each one's a separate LLC under a holding company?
No, we have a few different LLCs. Not all of them are under their own LLC. We're working on moving the real estate out of them into their own LLCs and all that fun stuff. So going forward, well, probably each location will now be its own LLC. When we were starting out, one of the challenges we had was this whole personal guarantee or corporate guarantee on leases, and because they didn't know who we were. So now we have some credibility, and now I can negotiate because I've got some strength. I can negotiate here's a separate LLC, no personal guarantee. We'll corporately guaranteed underneath this LLC, but if that LLC goes away, you can't come after the rest of us.
Yeah. Did you ever get somebody co-signer do that, like your uncle, come back for that, or?
No. But I have a pretty strong operations team, and she's also a partner. She's our VP of operations. I gave her some equity in the business she bought in, then I gave her some equity in the business to make sure she's whole. And she's really, she's very good at what she does. But she's the exact opposite of me, which is probably a good thing if you were to think about it from a high level, because she fills in my gaps from an operational standpoint. Because if I had to go, manage staff every day, I'd probably lose my mind. And she, and
you don't find that. That's something that's her strength.
Yeah, it's her strength, and we don't see eye to eye on many things. We clash quite a bit, but I've gotten some pretty good mentoring that was, it's your business, man. You just you stay above the business and let her run it. She's what she's getting paid to do. You go grow it, let her run it.
You feel like, talking about your uncle again, where he was in so many different industries, that do you feel like that, fitness is great, I love it, I understand what the KPIs, critical drivers are, and then get to a size that's valuable to a bigger fish, that you're kind of just duplicating what your uncle did to.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I love fitness, but I really like money too. So it would be really fun I think it'd be really fun to see this get to, we're approaching 10 million in revenue, but I'd like to see it get to 30 million in revenue. And I think the EBIT will start to get pretty fun from a multiple perspective when you cross that $10 million mark. But we're also challenged with, all of a sudden there's not a lot of gyms for sale, right? So I'm back on the phone, cold calling people, and I got involved in Roland's classes because I needed some insight and some perspective on how else can I grow this business. And so I've kind of taken the approach over the last couple of months is looking at our sphere of influence or the places that we do business, and are there tangential opportunities that maybe aren't totally fitness related, but they aren't gyms that we can bring in and grow?
Yeah, the adjacency acquisitions.
Yeah. So we're looking at, an apparel company, which is pretty exciting.
Right.
Fitness
So what's the brand? It's Top Fitness, right?
Top Shape Gym.
Top Shape Gym. Yeah.
Yep. So we're looking at an apparel company that I'm pretty excited about. It's in the UK, so I have to figure that one out.
You couldn't find an apparel company in the United States.
This one is pretty exciting. I don't. It's a huge Instagram and Facebook following. They have great numbers, and he just wants out. He's got another technology business that he's involved in, and his VC group said, "Listen, you got to get rid of this, otherwise we're not going to give you any money." Right. So, he's pretty motivated. I think. I have to solve the 6-hour time difference and figure that out, which I think we could do. And then we're also looking at, a couple other things like corporate wellness company that has some technology that, we can enable a sales team to go out and do corporate wellness in the area as well as, throughout the United States. And
so what do you refer to that? I mean, is that corporate wellness like you go to corporations and teach them wellness?
Wellness, yeah, mental, physical, financial, all the wellness type of programs, and that's important because businesses are now figuring out that if they can educate their employees to take care of themselves, that lowers their insurance costs. And now with people say COVID was bad for gyms. Don't get me wrong, it got rid of a lot of players in the healthcare in the gym business, and it's sad to see that. But the strong survive, and it also probably, the bright side of this is if there's any bright side to COVID, people are now more aware of their health, and they're now looking at themselves saying, "I probably need to do something," because the first comorbidity, and it doesn't matter what doctor you talk to, is if you're overweight, obese, and you had COVID, they stuck you right on a ventilator. They stuck you right in the ER, and you just stayed there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the big, the comorbidity rates of people that are healthy versus the ones that are unhealthy or overweight. It was just so much higher, and you've got to take that into account.
Yeah, I have a friend that's heavily involved in the Navy SEAL program, and they were forced, or they were attempting to force all of the Navy SEALs. You know how many COVID cases they had amongst, how many fatalities they had against all the Navy SEALs?
No.
Zero.
Zero, because they're all in great shape.
They're all in great shape, right? I mean, what's the correlation? It's not hard. Stay in better shape, take care of yourself. Your body can fight, your immune system's healthy, you can fight diseases better.
Right. If you do get COVID, you'll recover a lot faster, and you'll have your immunity system.
Yeah. You bet.
So you were looking for agency type acquisitions, aside from that, this is the beauty of Roland's Epic program, is looking at your platform company and all the other stuff you can bring in. I mean, are you looking at any kind of like Facebook groups, Instagram groups, anything like that to drive, or would that even help?
I don't know locally if that would help us because we're only in about maybe a 90-mile radius. If you draw a picture around us where I live, which is Davenport, Iowa. If you draw that radius, I don't know if there's a big enough face group that would make sense for us.
Yeah.
If we get into like an apparel brand, hell yeah. I mean, that makes total sense. That brand has probably 150,000 Facebook followers, which is super attractive for us. So I see that as kind of a step. If I could find something that has those things, it would be huge for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I toyed around with trying to find a business that was completely, not even gym related, but because we have properties, I actually made an offer to a company that did window cleaning, power washing, parking lot line striping, parking lot maintenance. What else did they do? They did carpet cleaning.
Oh, so this was kind of like turning your cost into a profit center?
Yeah. I mean, like, because we own 50% of our real estate that we're in. I'm like, I have those expenses all the time. So why not just own the business and I actually made the offer to the guy, and then he got a competing offer, and we just couldn't pull it off, which is,
Well, you got a competing offer right around when you put your offer in?
Yep. And I think my offer was a little opportunistic. I wasn't trying to lowball him, but I made a very creative offer, let's say, and he didn't like it.
He didn't like it. Yeah.
He didn't even want to talk about it. So what? Okay, I was like, hey, I was just trying to open the conversation.
Yeah. So do you have an offer LOI on this apparel business in UK?
No, we're getting close. I probably will put an LOI in soon. I want to buy both of them. I actually want to buy both companies. I have to answer some questions about our team, who can, because the last thing I want to do is buy something that I got to go run, although I probably would get involved short term. But I need to be able to make sure I've got the people here that can help me.
Yeah, that's an e-com type,
yeah,
critical driver type business.
Yeah.
Do you have expertise?
So yeah, I have owned a supplement website. That was another acquisition I did. I had back in, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. And it was actually, I had the websites before I had Top Shape Gym. We had Top Shape Supplements, and it had 5 different websites, and we did about $500,000 a year in fitness supplements. And I bought that business off somebody, grew it, and then almost overnight got killed by Google.
Oh yeah.
They gave me that business went from doing, $50,000 a month in revenue and that 15 to 20% margins to doing $5,000 a month. I mean, literally overnight.
Was that Google SEO or Google PPC type changes?
No, so Google, we were running basically 5 different website stores, and all 5 had different domains, different brands. But Google at the time would let you have a data feed, and they would upload it, and you could upload your data feed into their world. So they did a search on protein powder, the top websites would come up. Well, I had one data feed for 5 websites. So the first 4 websites would be my website, but it was the same store, same products with basically different branding.
Oh yeah.
And they caught that shit, and excuse my French, and they didn't like that. And then they said because of the data feed I was getting from my warehouse or my distributors, there was some stuff in there that qualified me to be a pharmacist, and that I didn't have the appropriate licensing. So they kicked me off of the Google feed for about 90 days until I could get, actually I had to appeal their decision, do a bunch of different things, shut a couple stores down, and then by the time they got back up and running, that traffic was gone.
That was gone. That's like somebody referred to it. It's the Google snap, man. You take half your population or more than your population, and you're dead.
Yeah, I mean, Google, they didn't care. They just whatever.
Yeah. What did that teach you about that? Aside from not relying on one source of traffic.
I think that business is folly. I mean, you have to expect the unexpected.
Yeah. Would that be a business that you could now be an adjacent business for your?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I looked at firing it back up. About once a year. I look at firing it back up and putting the code back out there, which we may or may not do. But I thought about, one of the challenges we had with that business was just fraud. People would order stuff with stolen credit card information, get it delivered, and then then the person who actually had the credit card would fight it. And not only did you lose the money, but you also lost the product. So you get whammied on both sides.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
15 to 20% margins, that's just not a lot of room for mistakes.
no, and it was all volume based, right? So we were trying to kill the volume. But it makes sense when you can, you drop ship and they'll send it out for you. And you don't have to warehouse it. It was pretty interesting. But when fraud starts to set in, that was also really challenging for us because we didn't have any way at the time. And now I think they've solved that problem, is to authenticate somebody as a user, right? With two-way authentication. Now you can do that. That's automatic. But we also have been, because we have now 9 or 10 locations, we thought, it'd be great service for our members to add a subscription fee to their membership that allowed them to buy supplements at a wholesale cost. And then they would buy them as almost like a Sam's Club, membership fee. And they would just drop ship to our location, which if we spend over $200, it ships for free. And they would just pick it up the next time they come to the gym.
Yeah, I have a protein sent to me from Amazon, and guess who's the number one position in Amazon? It's Amazon's protein.
Yeah. And so I wouldn't worry about necessarily the margins on the protein of the supplements. It'd be more about, can I get them in a recurring revenue model again that says they're going to pay me an extra $10 a month. That's going to save them $50 a month because they can buy stuff at wholesale cost. Take advantage of my pricing.
Well, if it adds to your, an upsell, but got to add to your profit margin too. So
doesn't cost me anything, right? I mean, it's an extra 10 or $20 a month off that member, and it really doesn't cost me anything because it's going to ship for free, and they pick it up there might be some, I guess you could say there's some labor cost to count it out and set it aside for somebody to make sure they get it. But I mean, those are fixed costs for me anyways, because those people are paid to be there anyways.
Very cool. Great story, man. So what have you learned from all this, or where you're at now versus where you were at, when you started this journey?
So I wish I could have taken some of the hesitancy to dive into this entrepreneurial space much sooner. It seems like as I've gotten older, and that could just come with time and success, and obviously knowing that if you fail, because we failed, it's not going to hurt you. I mean, you can always recover. So I wish I would have gone. If I were to give advice to and I've told my 20 soon to be 21-year-old son in college, go Hawks. If you can find a business and you can start a business, go do it. Go start a business. Go find a business. Get involved. Do it now. I mean, do it and go hard. Chase it, because there's nothing more rewarding than building a business and seeing it succeed. There's also nothing more depressing than failing, but you can learn from that. But punching the clock, you don't need to do it. So many ways in this world to make money, and there's nothing wrong with punching the clock. I did it. I loved my career.
I don't know anybody there's a lot of people most people have done that first.
Yeah. I love my career. And I get offers all the time for, multiple 6-figure salaries and, good comp plans to go help build businesses. And I don't know if I'd do it again just yet, because this is fun. It's scary. It's fun. But I think people like me enjoy that. And they enjoy my other uncle, who was, he was younger than the uncle I learned from, also shared a great piece of advice with me. He's like, life's no fun unless you're staring over the edge.
That's true, right?
Life's no fun unless you're staring over the edge.
I mean, it's like an older guy, as you go, sometimes you got to go play some football and rough up to like feel what pain feels like, so you could feel alive again. Like,
yeah. And I think Gary Vaynerchuk said something a couple of years ago that really stuck with me also. You want big problems.
Yeah.
Solve big problems.
And you get paid and rewarded for solving big problems too.
Yep. Yep. So if
Yeah.
you want little problems, just live little. So
That's true. So true.
yeah.
I think I really appreciate the time you spent with me, Matt. And
Yeah.
how does somebody reach out to you if they've got an apparel company in the United States and they want to sell it to you? Because you've already got 9 locations.
Yeah. I mean, that's you can reach me at Matt, M-A-T-T, at topshapegym.com. My cell phone number is 563-940-9981.
All right. Well, I hope that helps. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd really appreciate the time you spent with me. And I guess we'll see you today with Patch Baker's.
Yeah, I'll be there for the first hour for sure.
All right. Matt, thank you so much, man.
Have a great night. Have a great day.
Cheers.